First of all, thank you very much for receiving me. Shana Tova, Vahatima Tova.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here to talk about security and the protection of Jewish institutions in general. First of all, let's remember that this is a very difficult year, not necessarily for terrorism purposes, but because of the pandemic, we're in a situation of anxiety of our societies. This COVID-19 has led to greater instability and greater uncertainty for the citizens. And this makes us more vulnerable. This makes citizens more prone to radicalization, more prone to listening to conspiracy theories. And we have seen also that some of the conspiracy theories are like the old days, using the Jews as responsible for the pandemic. So we need to fight that. And we need to avoid that more supporters to right-wing extremism or jihadis go into the battle. Luckily, we didn't have any major terrorist attack this year. Not very big. There have been some small-scale attacks, but we have been fortunately well protected. But the threat is still there. We have a jihadist threat, which is today more diverse, more complex. Groups like Daesh or Al-Qaeda are still there, but more underground. So the threat is more diffuse. They continue to spread their international influence in our neighborhood, be it in the Middle East, in North and West Africa, but also in Libya and in the Sahel. These organizations, Daesh and Al-Qaeda, are able to mobilize directly or more indirectly a number of people in Europe. It can be foreign terrorist fighters who are coming back from Syria, so FTF returnees, as we call it. It can be released prisoner, and we have a number of terrorists or radicalized people who are now in jails and are going to be released over the next months or years. And these guys are continuing to be radicalized in prison. And of course, you have a number of people who are getting radicalized over the internet. And so you have a pool of homegrown terrorists that are responsible for most of the terrorist attack these days. We must also pay attention from the threat of other groups like right-wing extremism, which is on the increase. Last year, we had more than 6 right-wing terrorist attacks in Europe. So today, the terrorist threat is more complex than before, and is low scale than before. But we have to prepare for higher threat. We have to prepare for the FTF, the terrorist fighters who have been in Syria, who have battlefield experience, to come back and train others. So the threat is going to come back. Politicians have a tendency to forget. You know, we forget that it was 4 years ago that the airport here was blown apart. You forget, you go to the airport, you don't think about it. You think about putting a mask, but you don't think that the terminal was destroyed. We forget this. But the threat is there. So what are we doing at European level? First of all, the main responsibility for terrorism lies in the hand of the member states, in the law enforcement community in the member states. But at European level, we are trying to help them with the legal framework and preventing the terrorists to access a number of things. We prevent the terrorists to access the money. So we are following the money. We have EU-US agreements called Terrorist Financing Tracking Program, which allow us to track all the money going through the banking system to fund terrorist activities. So we track the money. We track the weapons. We prevent terrorists to access easily to firearms. There are still a lot of firearms available in Europe, but we have developed more and more legislation and cooperation to take down firearms. We have also European legislation which was developed in my services to detect when someone is buying what we call precursors to explosives. So if you find a recipe to make a bomb, you need to buy a number of equipment. And when you buy that equipment, be it in a shop or on the internet, that will trigger an alert. And in that way, we have caught many terrorists or apprenticed terrorists who wanted to try to make a bomb. We are also monitoring the internet with what we call Internet Referral Unit, notably in Europol, the European Police Office, and we are preventing the terrorists to use social media to spread their ideas. So we are taking down terrorist content online as fast as we can. Of course, it's a matter of speed, because the terrorists also are very used to using social media, like using GoPro, live streaming their activities, and we take down those videos as soon as they appear on the internet. So far, the combination of European measures and member state level was quite successful recently, because we are preventing a number of terrorist attacks. But we should not be happy about it, because the threat is still high. So what about Jewish institutions? What about places of worship? They are great symbolic targets. And we know that, because I don't want to repeat the long list of terrorist attacks of the last 6 years, but it all started here in Brussels, in the Jewish Museum in 2014. And often it starts with Jewish institution or Jews, and then it spread. And this was the case here as well. It was the Jewish Museum in Brussels in 2014. And then it was followed by Charlie Hebdo in January and the Hypercacher, as you know. My colleague Marc Lehout, who's working with me, was there on the ground because he's a former gendarme GIGN, and he was during the operation in Charlie Hebdo and Hypercacher, and was one of the guys neutralizing the terrorists. So you can ask him some question if you want. That is the reality we are facing. But it's not only Europe. Let's remember October 2018, Pittsburgh synagogue. March 2019, the Christchurch mosque. The Muslims are also targeted. 50 people.